So by the way, I'm Mark, and with the Young Global Citizens, but we have a special guest to introduce you, Kate the Chemist. We have Professor Xu from, I'll let her introduce herself, and you just go ahead when you're ready, Professor.
Okay, I teach in School of Management in the program called MGen, Master of Global Entrepreneurship and Management. I teach part-time. I run a SaaS company in Silicon Valley, and my company is specialized in enterprise strategy management. The previous dean of School of Management, she's a professor of strategy, so she loves what I do. So she invited me to teach part-time. That's how I get started. So I'm not a full-time professor like you. I've been in the US for the past 31 years. So before that, I was born in China.
So great to have you. Start by introducing Kate the Chemist. Let's begin, everyone. We're ready? Let's go.
Welcome, everyone. Dr. Kate Bendorf is a chemist, science entertainer, and a professor at the University of Texas. Through her theoretical and hands-on approach to teaching, Dr. Bendorf is breaking down the image of the stereotypical scientist while reaching students who might otherwise be intimidated by science. Students' emotional response, rather than raw memorization of facts, are key to Professor Bittendorf's dynamic approach to her program, as well as science in general. Her exciting and engaging program leaves audiences with a positive, memorable impression of science, all while diminishing the stigma around women in science. She has appeared on the Today Show, the Kelly Clarkson Show, NBC Nightly News, the Wendy Williams Show, the Rachel Ray Show, and the Late Night with Stephen Colbert. She's also the author of Kate the Chemist, the big book of experiments. In It's the Elemental, she demystifies the fundamental principles of the science that may have eluded you in high school and shows how chemistry comes alive in everything we do. Dr. Bitterdorf lives in Austin, Texas with her husband and two dogs and one very grumpy cat. So with this, let's welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really honored to be here. It's also my spring break, so it's really an honor to be sharing my spring break with you all. So thank you. I really appreciate that.
Morning. First, we would like to begin by giving our audience a sample of what you do. We will play a video, which is just 2 minutes long, and we chose the liquid nitrogen balloons. You remember that one? And we will ask you afterwards, how do you decide what experiments you do on video? Who helps you make your videos? And what is your purpose in making them? So please give me a moment.
Is add liquid nitrogen to my insulated bucket. So liquid nitrogen is very, very cold. It's 77 Kelvin or negative 194 Celsius. And just to give you a frame of reference, room temperature is about 25 degrees Celsius. And so what we do here is I need to put my cryogenic gloves on because I'm actually going to be sticking my hand into the liquid nitrogen. That would be not safe at all to do that without my gloves on. So here's my animal. And I'm going to slowly put it in here. And what we're seeing is a very cool demonstration of Charles' law. And so as the temperature goes down, the volume goes down. And then as the temperature of my balloon animal goes up, my volume goes back up. Okay, so that's just like kind of cool. Let me show you something else. You can also do it with an octopus. And so the hard part here is trying to find how to get all the legs in here all at once. Oh, geez. Almost have them. Put the head in here. All right. 3, 2, and 1.
Okay. This is all from your website,
I know.
katethechemist.com.
So that is a video I shot a long time ago when I first got started. So I need to update my website. That's what I'm learning. That is so funny. So that is actually with an old team. That was when I was back at the University of Texas and like hustling and making these demonstrations when I was brand new, maybe back in like 2015, 2016 or so. And so I had an entire team of interns. I had one guy named Eric who preps all my demos for me. So he made that balloon animal for me. He made sure I had liquid nitrogen in my doer. So I get to do the fun part. I run into lab, I play with the chemistry, and then I leave, and then my interns clean it up. So that is just a wonderful way to make a video, is having a huge, huge team around you, because you'll notice that there was somebody that was filming as well. So I couldn't just like set up the camera on a tripod because you need to be able to follow the balloon. So I right now currently have a huge team of people that I just kind of call based on what I'm doing, what I'm filming, and based on their skills. So we just shot something here in my house and I had to call up a lighting expert. We got to makeup. We've all been vaccinated here, so it was safe with COVID, and we all double mask anyway. But it's just something that we had to be. You got to be really careful with, but it's just, you have a team. I always have a team, and it's really fun to come up with these different ideas. And I love taking requests from students. Like if you want to see something, and maybe you've seen a video on TikTok, send it my way, because I love to either say, yes, that's valid, or, oh no, they cheated. That's a trick.
We saw that you're pretty responsive on your social media. That's really amazing.
I try to be. It's important to talk to students and like give back and interact. So I try to be. I could be better. That's one of my goals for 2021. So we'll see.
Thank you. Question number 2 comes from Nicholas in Vancouver.
My name is Nicholas. I would like to ask your thoughts on how science grows so many different parts of our brain and helps us grow as human beings.
Ooh, big question. So let's break this down. There's a lot of different science that happens inside of your body, like a lot of different science. And so the chemistry side of it would be the atoms and the molecules and how those molecules interact with other molecules. So the parts that I study in the body would be respiration, so breathing, right? So when we breathe our oxygen in. And then I also study combustion. So that's what happens kind of down here in your belly. It actually happens all over your body as well. And so combustion is when you take a source of fuel, like something you've eaten, maybe like a carrot or some broccoli, which are my favorites, and then maybe like a chocolate bar. That's also a source of fuel. You can eat all this. It reacts with the oxygen and you produce carbon dioxide and water. So when you exhale, you can exhale out that water, and you also exhale out the carbon dioxide. So both of those things come out. The cool thing though, is during that process, what happens is you release a lot of energy, and we can use this energy to do different parts of things with our body. So we can use that energy to go for a run. We can use that energy to climb a mountain. We can also use that energy to build and restore cells. And so you have tons of different cells inside of your body. Like you have skin cells, which you can kind of see, right? Like there's all different skin here, and you have skin cells on your body. We also have cells that work in your brain, and we have tons of different cells that have a very specific function for every single part of your brain. So just like we have cells that make skin, we have cells that make your brain, and that's how they can form different things. And like every single one has a very specific job. Like it works on one specific thing and it sticks with that job. And that's just kind of a very simplified version of what goes on in your body. Great question. Absolutely great question. I love that. A lot of chemistry. If there's biologists in the room, they'll say there's biology in the body too, but there's so much chemistry.
Thank you so much, Nicolas. Good job. Au revoir. Okay, so question 3 is from Isla.
Hello, my name is Isla. My question is about girls taking their rightful place in the scholarly world. Back in December, we interviewed Time Magazine Kid of the Year, Gitanjali Rao, who's an amazing youth inventor and passionate advocate for clean water. Do you have a message for girls who love science and want to make a difference in the world?
Ooh, another great question. Thank you, Isla. First of all, hello. I think that girls and boys and students that are non-binary, everybody has a place in science. It doesn't matter who you are, who you love, what your socioeconomic status is, you can be a scientist. And so one thing that I love to tell future scientists is that science can be challenging. There's bumps, there's bruises. You're going to do a chemical reaction hoping to form some product A, and you accidentally form a product C. And so some people can characterize that as a failure, but it's not a failure in lab lab, when you do something, you learn something every single time. And so I just want to remind students that when we're scientists and we're doing experiments and we're exploring things, you're going to have bumps and bruises, you're going to have mistakes, but the professional scientists, the best scientists, get up every single time, and it's on that 1,000th experiment. That's when they have the success, and that's when we're making the COVID vaccines. That's when we're figuring out how to fix Ebola. It's on that 1,000th or maybe even millionth attempt, but you just cannot quit. That's the one thing I'm just begging you, Isla, do not quit. Like, just keep pursuing your dream. It doesn't matter what it is. Hopefully it's chemistry, but you just never quit. You got it. You can never give up on the dream. And that goes for anything.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Evelyn, question 4.
Hello, I'm Evelyn. How do you feel before performing a big experiment with famous people in front of big audiences? Are you afraid something is going to go wrong? What does that teach us about being brave in life?
Great question, Evelyn, and hello to you as well. It's funny, no one's ever asked me that. I do these interviews all the time, and no one's ever asked me what it feels like before I go out on stage. And the truth is, I am nervous. I am anxious every single time I get. It's easier every single time. So the more I do it, just like riding a bike, right? The more you ride your bike, it's easier every single time. But if you've ever fallen on a bike, that could be in your head and you're like, oh gosh, okay, here we go, but I can do it. So every single time before I do a show, this is true. Like right before I go on stage, I pace back and forth, and I'm in my head. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to mix A with B, and then we're going to form C, and then I'm going to move over here, and then we're going to do this reaction. Then I'm going to put my gloves on. Then I'm going to put my goggles on. I'm going through the safety. I'm going through the steps. And then there's like 10 seconds right before they're like, all right, you're on. And I just like freeze, and you get into the zone. And that's when you go into Superwoman style. And that's when you tell yourself, I can do this. I am going to do this. If something goes wrong, it doesn't matter. That's what science is. And so you just explain, oh, shoot, A and B was supposed to make C, but instead it made this. Ha, 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 like no big deal. And you just have to be ready for it. And so you get into the zone, you prepare, and you're brave for it, and you attack it, and you go after it because you know the science. You're prepared, right? No one ever goes on stage thinking, I wonder what's going to happen. I've done every single experiment 100 different times. And so when I go out on TV, I am ready. So yes, I'm nervous, but you just stand there, you get strong, you feel like Superwoman, and you march out on the stage and you do the best job you possibly can. That's what I do, at least.
Thank you.
Last question from my school. These are my students, Professor, because it's their reward. For all the interviews we've been doing, they've been asking me about this interview the most. So thank you so much. Talia,
Wonderful.
Talia, it's your turn. Okay.
We would like to ask about your big book of experiments and your other book. Where can we get them? Also, we are publishing a book of our own called Coast to Coast, How Kids Came Together During a Pandemic to Help the Planet. And all proceeds of that book are going to clean water access for Indigenous communities. Would you be willing for us to post one of your experiments in that book for kids to enjoy?
Of course. Absolutely. I reached out to my publisher ahead of this. So I need to give a huge shout out to Penguin and Philomel, and they have given me the clearance to let you guys republish one of these. So I will have someone from my team follow up with all that material afterwards. But yes, of course, anything to support kids, supporting other kids, how amazing. And please let me know how I can buy a copy of the book once you guys come out. I would love to see it. And then I think you asked me another thing about where we can get my books. You can get the books anywhere books are sold. So you can get it at the big publishers, companies, those big production places, bookstores, but also check out your local bookstores. A lot of them carry my books because they're different and there's a woman doing science. So a lot of times you can find it through them. So the big book of experiments, here's this one. It's 25 experiments that kids can do at home. What I did for this one is because I travel everywhere. Well, I used to for pre-pandemic, but I used to travel everywhere. I would go to Newton, Iowa, Roswell, New Mexico, LA, New York, California. Like just, it didn't matter. I'd go there. And so I interacted with all different types of kids. And I saw a variety, a huge range of kind of what their
access was, what materials they could get to, what kind of dry ice they could get, if they could even get dry ice. So it was really important to me that when I wrote this book, I made sure that the materials in there are things that no matter where you live or what your socioeconomic status is, you can actually do these experiments. But that was a book kind of more for like the little Kate, my version of myself. When I was little, I wanted to do this, 25 different explosions. But my sister, not so much. So she was more of the reader, not so much of the tomboy. And so when I decided to write kids' books, it was really important to me to also do a fiction series, a companion series. And so for these were more for kids who maybe don't like science or think they don't like science, I should say, or maybe they're intimidated by it or they're not really sure about it. And so all these stories are about a little 10-year-old Kate the Chemist. She goes around her neighborhood and has regular 5th grade problems and just uses science to save the day as much as she can. And then what was really important to me is at the back of every single one of these experiments, I don't know if you can see this, but I always include an experiment that the characters actually did in the story. So after you've read through the entire story, you can do the experiment that the characters did. So yeah, those are available anywhere. The next 2 come out in May. I am so excited about that because one of those is the awesome book of edible experiments for kids. So it's 25 experiments you can eat. And I wrote it during the pandemic last May when Texas pandemic was so bad and I didn't want to go outside at all. So for 3 weeks, I locked myself inside and just opened my pantry and did 25 experiments that you could eat. So I teach you how to make ice cream. I teach you how to make different pasta, how to make fried eggs. And I just had so much fun. And we're experimenting like all the different chemical reactions and all the different chemistry that happens in the kitchen. So fun.
We now move to the United States, Robert Adams Middle School.
Hello, my name is Valentina, and I'm a French immersion student at Robert Adams Middle School in Holliston, Massachusetts. So my question will be en français, then in English. Qu'est-ce qui vous intéresse le plus dans les sciences et la chimie? What do you find most interesting about science and chemistry?
That was beautiful. I was trying to learn French, and so I know nothing, but I love what you just said. I'm going to pretend like I understood that. So first of all, hello, Valentina. Great question. So what do I find most interesting about science and chemistry? So I think it has to do with the fact that it explains everything that's around me. Like if you look around, no matter where you are, honestly, no matter where you are, whether or not you're in Canada, the United States, Mexico, doesn't matter, you will absolutely be able to see chemistry in front of you because every item that you're looking at has atoms, it has molecules. If you want to understand how your car works, that's chemistry. If you want to understand how your makeup works, that's chemistry. If you want to understand how X, Y, Z works, it's all chemistry and science. And that's what I love about it. So once I was able to kind of continue on with chemistry and learn more and more about the field itself, I feel like I had a better understanding of the world around me and everything that I interact with on a daily basis. And I have to be honest, I've always loved explosions. So the fire, the liquid nitrogen, like I like that too. There's 2 sides of it.
Thank you.
Welcome. Great question.
That was great. LC4 Virtual School.
Okay, hello. We are coming to you from Toronto, and we have been virtual since the beginning of the year. So some of my students are here. Hi. Thanks so much for this. This is so great. And we kind of held a class poll to decide our question that was the best. And our question is, how does it feel to be able to entertain and educate so many people?
Wow, great question. Hello, Toronto. I've actually been to Toronto, so I can picture what it's like there. Hi, everybody. How does it feel to entertain and educate so many people? It's the best thing I do. It's the best part of my day. It's the best part of like when a student reaches out to me on social media, I love that where I get to have a moment and interaction with them. I secretly love to educate and teach chemistry. If I can sneak science in when I'm trying to have a conversation with someone, I love to do that. I do that with my friends too. But I think the best part is that when I first started, I was local. So I was out just in Austin. I was just interacting with Austin students. And I just say we're not, we're a city, we're not a huge city, but it was just Austin. And then after about a year, I was able to step out just a little bit and go do things in Dallas and then Houston and Corpus Christi. And then after that, I started doing things more nationally. And so the fact that I've been able to interact with at the beginning was like hundreds of students. And now it's thousands, if not millions, depending on which YouTube video you're looking at. It's unbelievably rewarding that I can share my passion with so many people. And I feel like I'm giving back to the community. I'm someone who thinks it's really important to volunteer and give back. We just had a huge power crisis here in Austin, so I was volunteering every single day. So it's just kind of part of my soul to share what I'm passionate about. And I hope you guys do that too. When you become rich and famous and you're doing everything, doesn't matter what it is, if you're an athlete or if you're in cosmetology or if you're in science, share it with the world and make it easier on the next generation of students. That's what I challenge you to do.
Thank you, Toronto. Great question. And final question today is coming from Simone Monet School. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Daniel Grace from Simon Manet. As our last question today, what can you tell us about your love for your home state, Texas, and also for your country, the USA? Do you see hope for the new generation, especially US kids, but also kids everywhere, to bring scientific solution to global crisis we are now facing?
What a loaded question. All right, let me see if I can remember all of those pieces here. So I think you asked me about Texas first. Yes, I love Texas. I am a classic Texan. We love this state. You will hear us say everything's better in Texas. That's just, we say that. We think Texas is amazing. I'm actually from Michigan, so from Kalamazoo. We also had a lot of state pride. So I went from one state to another state where things were the best. So I love Texas. I love the weather. I'm so glad I'm not in Michigan anymore because the snow was not for me. And so I just really love Texas. I really enjoy when people are open-minded. So I like Austin. I think Austin is a really good city. They're open and accepting of everything. And so it's a really good fit for me. The United States, I like. I'm not going to go into politics with you all, but I think things are better these days. So I'm a bit happier these days in general about being an American citizen. But for the last part of your question, yes, kids, students are our future, 100%. Y'all are the best generation this earth has ever seen. I am so excited to see what you all are going to do in the next 10, 15 years. I can't wait for you guys to be my doctors. I cannot wait for you all to be my teachers when I go learn some other subject that's brand new to me. I absolutely think the kids are the future. And if you are ever in Texas, please come say hi to me, y'all. I would love to show you some fun explosions. I absolutely hate that I can't blow anything up for you right now, but if you're ever in Austin, Texas, come say hi, remind me that we did this, and I will do an experiment for you.
Thank you.
Great question.
How exciting and inspiring this has been. Dear Kate, you were incredibly gracious in accepting this interview. You've been a tremendous model of positivity, creativity, and innovation, especially for young scientists everywhere, and especially for young female scientists. You're agreeing to give children this opportunity to grow their communication, confidence, and thinking skills has made and will make a vital difference for them. We have many upcoming interviews, all fields of science, engineering, technology, and much, much more. We would like to invite you to return as a host for future interviews. We now confer upon you the title of Young Global Citizen. And we have a special gift coming to you as a token of our appreciation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. It's been an honor to be here, and I would love to come back. Please reach out to me any moment. I would absolutely love this. Anytime I can give back to the community, I would love to. And it's been such a wonderful day to spend my last day of spring break with you all. So thank you for letting me visit.
Now we have a tradition. Everyone can unmute themselves and say goodbye. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Oh my God, that's the way. You can try saying bye too. Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Kate. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.